Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello everyone, welcome back to Right on Track. I am super excited because joining me today is Emily Faye. Hi Emily.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, thank you. Yeah, we've had some sunny weather here in England, so that makes me very happy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for everybody listening, we're recording this on May 18th, so we're finally getting those warm days and summer is right around the corner. So do you have any fun plans for the summer?
Well, usually I spend the summer in Jersey in the Channel Islands if I can, just because it's incredible there. It's absolutely beautiful, and my fiance lives there. So I try and spend as much of the summer as I can by that ocean, basically.
Oh, I always sign up for that. Take me to the ocean. Yeah, I love to go to California because I have family out there, and I haven't been there since the pandemic. So I'm hoping to get back either this summer or
Wow.
next, but we'll see.
Fingers
I
crossed for this summer.
know. So I'm so excited you're joining me today because we're going to be talking all about finding comfort in goodbyes and while away from home. And this is something very different than anything I've talked about on the show before. So I'm very excited to see where this conversation goes. But before we get into that, can you share with everyone a little about yourself and your songwriting journey?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Emily Faye, and I'm a singer-songwriter from the UK. My favourite thing to do is to write songs. Um, my mum and dad say that I started singing before I spoke, but just literally would sing all the time to the point where I was told off for singing at the table at dinner time and things like that. And yeah, when I was 13, my piano teacher I was learning piano and I had been since I was 7, but I used to do grades and I just used to get so nervous that I would screw up on the when I was playing. So I managed to pass the grades, but I just used to get so nervous and I hated it. So my piano teacher told me to go away and write a song. So then, yeah, I came back the following week with 2 songs and we ended up recording them. And that was kind of just what started my songwriting. I just poured my heart and soul and all the teenage angst I was going through into music, and it just really helped me. Like, that's basically the reason why I started writing, was because it helped me get through things I was feeling and get it out on paper. And yeah, instead of a diary, I wrote songs. So yeah, so pretty much since then I've just been writing songs, and I taught myself guitar because I heard this amazing artist called Holly Rogers who has a beautiful voice. She's from Cornwall here in the UK. And I heard her playing guitar and singing, and then I thought, oh, I'd like to try that. So then I taught myself guitar, and yeah, and I've just never really looked back. I just absolutely love songwriting, and working with other people was great fun, co-writing. And yeah, just absolutely love it. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I love how you were talking about what really got you into songwriting and kind of seeing songwriting as writing a diary because I see it the exact same way. And I think that's why a lot of songwriters do this is to process things and get things out and tell stories. So that's the basis of what we do. And finding comfort as well, which leads right into what we're going to be talking about today with your new single when it comes to
Mhm.
leaving. So to get into this, can you read an amazing quote by Maya Angelou?
Of course. I long, as does every human being, to be at home wherever I find myself.
What does this mean to you?
So to me, this means as long as I'm happy in myself, I can be home. But then also it kind of means to me wherever it's like wherever I find a piece of myself. So that could be, a family member or someone you love, then you feel at home no matter where you are in the world if you're with someone you love. So yeah, I think it can be interpreted in quite a few ways actually, can't it?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think home is such an abstract concept. Like, you can think of home as like the house you grew up in and your family, or you can think of home as a place that you love to visit and spending time with friends and loved ones. And so it can mean many different things, but I love how this is talking about like no matter where you are, you want to feel at home. And I think kind of what you said with like finding home and happiness within yourself to find that peace and comfort wherever you are. Because like the thing with like comfort too is like when you think of your childhood home or a place that you feel at home, it's somewhere that's comforting to you, where you feel safe and loved. And so I think finding that comfort wherever you are and bring that sense of home is something we all shoot to be able to
Oh,
do.
totally. Yeah, totally. Home really is a feeling, not just a place, but that feeling you get when you're there, you know? That's what home is, totally.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So with your song, can you share the inspiration behind the song and how it all came together?
Yeah, of course. So, during the pandemic, I took to Zoom writing because obviously I couldn't travel anywhere. So, like many other artists, I became a Zoom addict, and um, I basically had a session scheduled with a friend of mine called Jess Thriston. She's big over here in the UK and great artist. You should check her out. Voice is amazing, songs are amazing. And yeah, I had a writing session with her scheduled, and I basically had the feeling I'd kind of been stuck here in the UK, and my fiancé lives abroad in Jersey, so it's a 45-minute flight from where I am to him. And obviously in the pandemic, I didn't see him for like 4 or 5 months, and I just I think when I had the Zoom session, I'd booked my flight to go and see him, but I had to get like written permission from the government of Jersey to fly there, and I had to go on a certain plane. Um, Basically, it was all this was in the June, so obviously we locked down in, like, the March time. This was maybe the June, the end of June that I managed to go and see him. So I spent the summer there, and then I came back, and I think when I had the writing session was when I'd come back, and it was the feeling of when I was going there, I really was, like, really anxious and really feeling, first of all, anxious about traveling in in a crazy time where this virus is around. Second of all, really I'd been cooped up at my parents' house with them in this safe bubble for however many months, and then I was about to go and travel, and I had that feeling of like, "Oh, I just don't wanna go, I just wanna stay." And and then when I went to Jersey and I spent 3 months there in the end, and then I flew back here, I had that feeling when I was there, and basically this song was born from that feeling, and I basically explained this feeling to Jess, and then we came up with when it comes to leaving, all I want to do is stay. And yeah, and that's kind of how the song was born. And we just brainstormed and we just talked about how it feels and who I am and what it means to me to be going to and from and how unsettling it can be and the trials and tribulations of a long distance relationship combined with that feeling of sometimes you just want to stay when it comes to that point where you're just about to leave, the few hours before leaving for me are really hard. Even though I know, like one of the lyrics is, "When I touch down, I know I'll be okay." Even though I know that, I'm on the plane and I know I'll be okay as soon as the plane lands, I'll be fine. But it's just that feeling of the waiting around before you go and, oh, you just really don't wanna go. So, yeah, I also get that feeling, when it's time to leave holiday, but you've had such a good time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure. I love this. I love this so much because it's so universal. Everybody can relate. Like, no matter what it is, like, even something as different as, like, I'm graduating graduate school at the end of June. And so that's going to be rough because I'm going to be saying a lot of goodbyes. And then, when I go to California and I love to see my aunt and uncle out there and then having to come back home, like, I don't want to leave. Like, when I wake up that last day,
Mhm.
it's like, I don't want to come. And, like, I
Mhm.
think the
Yeah.
cool thing with, like, what you were bringing up was like, okay, you didn't want to leave your family or like, I just want to stay, but I want to see my fiance's. But then when you get to your fiance, it's like, well, I don't want to leave him, but I want to be back home with my family. And so I think like the cool parallels back and forth with this is like when you have the ability to find and feel a sense of home in many different places and people, it's kind of that constant feeling of, well, I don't want to leave this person, but there's also other places and people that I want to see. And so this constant feeling is going on.
Yeah, gosh, yeah, and it's really unsettling, and it's really, you know, I think in the song I say I know I'm lucky that I have somebody to love. I have so many people to love in different places, but sometimes I do just wish they were all in the same place because then I wouldn't necessarily be feeling this. But like you said, when I was at university and I was coming home for the summer, I'd feel it. I'd feel this feeling, and then when I'd have to leave home for to go back to uni after the summer, I'd be feeling like it again, kind of displaced almost and having to get used to that again, and it is really hard. It is really hard. And I don't think when you're talking about going to university or college, as you guys call it, I don't think that's mentioned, the fact that you live a double life and essentially that's what I live. I have a life in Jersey and I have a life here, and it's really strange going from one to the other. But yeah, I just try and focus on I'm just so grateful that I have a life in each place and people I love, and I'm very lucky, and it keeps things interesting, because I'm never in one place all the time. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, it can feel a bit unsettling at times, So, and the goodbyes, it's like I just think, oh my gosh, I'm just torturing myself by doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody in my life is so worth it. So yeah,
Yeah, for
and it's
sure.
just it's just that initial feeling, once you're there, you're fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of
Um,
course,
yeah.
for sure. So, like, you definitely have found comfort through writing this song. So, what was your journey on a personal level from taking these emotions and feelings of saying goodbye and turning it into the song? And how was that journey from like writing it to how you felt afterward?
Yeah, so the reason I actually cut this song and released it is because I used to when I was on the plane, literally, when I was on the plane going from one place to the other, whichever way it was, I sometimes would listen to this song, um, to kind of give me comfort and remind myself when I touch down, I'll be okay, and remind myself that I'm just so lucky that I've got all these people in different places to love and all of that. And that's why I decided to cut it, because I was like, well, it means something to me, so maybe it will mean something to other people. And I think it can be interpreted in different ways. And the whole process of writing it brought me comfort in that it helped me recognize the positives of my life, I suppose, and also recognize that it is hard and it is okay to feel unsettled, and it is okay, it is okay to be like kind of I think there's one point in the song where I say, it used to be easier than this, because when you're only spending a weekend somewhere once a month, it's much easier to leave again. When you're spending 3 months somewhere else, it's much harder to leave. So, I kind of go through every stage in the song, but then the overall thing is, obviously I want to make this work, and I one day there'll be a point where I might not have to leave, one day. But right now this is what I need to do, and it was kind of a complete full circle moment in the song. And then I just literally used to listen to it and I was like, I'm such a loser listening to my own song on the plane. But yeah, but then it just brought me comfort, and I was just like, "Do you know what? This is the only thing that's getting me through this flight and kind of making me not feel sad and making me feel calm again." So I was just like, "I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna listen to my own song."
That's
Um,
perfect. That's
so
so
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
I love that. And there was so many things you said I want to touch on here. So like the fact like listening to your own song, like that's like a perfect sign of like, okay, this is a great one. Because like there are some songs of mine too, and like some of my friends who are writers, it's like you write a song and then you write like for me, I write so many songs that it's like I can't even keep track half the time. But the special ones are the ones that you constantly go back to. And when there's a song of your own that you personally find comfort in, that's a sign that like others will as well. And I think the reason why so many people are going to connect to this is that you brought up how like it's okay to feel unsettled, and like we all feel this way, and that's just a part of being human. Like that's
Yeah.
just a part of life, and like goodbyes are a part of life. Leaving places you love and are special to you is part of life too. And so this is just so universal, and I think you being able to connect to it so much is saying that this is a special one. And because it's so important to you and you're sharing that so openly why this is so important to you, listeners are going to see that authenticity and connect as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally, I hope so. Yeah, definitely. I think as well, I tested it out on a few audiences at a few gigs, but what I did was I basically sang it completely unplugged. So me and my lovely guitarist Michael, we basically we stepped off the stage and just sang it completely unplugged to the audience, just his guitar
Oh,
and me
wow.
singing, and it was absolutely terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying because you're so vulnerable. You don't have anything amplifying your voice or making it sound fancy with reverb or anything like that. It's just you. You have like, I wasn't playing my guitar, so I didn't have that to hide behind. And I was just kind of like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrifying." And then I did that a few times at a few different gigs, and I was just like, "But that's what this song is about. It's about being vulnerable." And actually, it's really cool that I decided to do that because we just decided on the day, like last minute, like, "Do you think we should do that unplugged?" "Yeah, let's do it unplugged. Let's do it. Let's be raw and vulnerable with the audience," and they loved it. They loved it, which was really cool. So yeah, that was definitely factored into the decision of recording it, but yeah, the main thing was I kind of just sat on it for, like, a couple of years, and then I was like, "Actually, do you know what? This song's brought, comfort to me in hard times, and hopefully it will to somebody else."
Yeah. No, that's so awesome you performed it that way. I think it's always really cool when artists kind of do unique things based on what certain songs are meant to do. And I think that was a great way to show the vulnerability and show that to your audience.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I think I experienced it. I think it was Gabrielle Aplin. I went to one of her gigs, and she many years ago now, and she came into the audience and played a song, and it was I really connected with it. And then, yeah, I think it had been on the back of my mind that that was something that was really cool to do, but I hadn't felt like I found the song to do it with. But now I have, so that's cool.
So you're about to release it at the time of recording, and this will be out when it's out. So, what kind of emotions are going through you at the thought of releasing this?
Oh gosh, everything goes through your head really before you release music, like
Yeah.
everything, yeah, all of your internal, critical things, self-criticisms, um, the worries, like, will people like it? Will people connect with it? Have I done the right thing in terms of the production? I could have done this, I could have done that. Should I have done that? Will that make it more popular? Will that get it on a Spotify playlist? Or, whatever it is, all of these things run through your mind. And then I also think constantly thinking about what content can I put out with it for the social medias and, all of that. It's just actually really what matters is, am I proud of the song? Do I love the song? And then the rest is up to the universe really, to be honest. At this stage, obviously, you can work hard and you can promote it as much as you can, but it is really up to the universe and the people.
Yeah, I love that perspective. That's something that I hadn't noticed early on because you need to, like, I'm sure you felt this way, like, not compare release to release and let each song or album or whatever live its own life. And
Yeah,
when I recognized that, I became lots happier because at the beginning, like, when I noticed one song was doing better than another, I'm like, well, maybe this song wasn't that good. Maybe I shouldn't have released it. And it's like, no, no, that song is fine how it is. Like, it's up to the listeners and what they take from it. And, like, if this song is special to you, which it clearly is, and you find comfort in it, that's really what matters. Like, sure, we want people to connect with our music and we want to share our stories and inspire and help others, but at the end of the day, we write for us. And if these songs mean something to us and we find comfort in them and we want to share that, then that's a decision we make. But at the end of the day, we're proud of our work, and that's what
yeah,
matters.
yeah, and I think as well, if you have a strong connection to a song, there's even more of a higher chance that other people will. It's so easy to get lost in what everyone else might think of this song, and trying to second guess and predict what your audience or what people want from you as an artist. And I've definitely felt lost in that the past few years, especially during COVID, because my entire plan went out the window. um, so yeah, so now I've just kind of been floating around and I'm like, I don't know what to record next. And then one of my friends, she said to me, pick a song that you connect with. Just record the ones you connect with, the ones that mean something to you, because that is the most authentic you that you can be if you connect with the song. And people will notice that.
For sure.
Um, so yeah, so that's what I did really, and I was kind of I was really umming and ahhing about production because my last song I did is a bit more pop. So I was really kind of like, "Oh," and then I was like, "But what does the song suit? What suits the song?" So, yeah, so I kind of dipped my toe back into country and made it a bit kind of Stevie Nicks-esque, and I think it really suits the song. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love how you brought up the production and the genre because me personally, like you, like I'm doing like the pop country crossover thing. Like my debut album is very contemporary pop. My new stuff is more leaning country pop. And at the end of the day, like whatever the song is meant to sound like, that's what it needs to sound like. And I think so many people can get caught up in I'm a country artist, therefore it needs to sound like this, and I need to have a
Mhm,
fiddle, and I need to
mhm.
have a pedal steel, and this and that, whatever. But like whatever is natural for this song is what needs to happen. So I love how you allowed yourself to take a step back and really see what the song needed to be.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it could have worked with a kind of more pop production as well, but for me, always heard it as more like Stevie Nicks vibe, like pumping kind of because it's kind of like a I'm struggling song, I suppose. So I didn't want it to be a sad struggling song. I wanted it to be a I'm struggling, but everything's gonna be okay because once I land, I'm gonna be fine, you know? And everybody feels this when it comes to leaving, they just wanna stay. You know, I wanted it to be, it has the strong message, but I also wanted it to have an element of fun and upliftingness as well, if that
For
makes
sure.
sense. So, yeah. It's
No,
so
that's
hard to know what
perfect.
you want sometimes, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, for sure, that's perfect. I think like once we write the songs, they're in their very strict form, but the choices that we make when it comes to the production can take things in very different ways. And so, like I love the production process. Like I'm really lucky to work with a producer who literally lets me basically co-produce everything because I'm so particular and
Amazing.
have these clear
Yep.
visions and everything. But the choices that you make like really show like the different sides of the songs. Like for example, I have a song called Will I Ever that was the lead off of my album, and it was very like fun contemporary pop. But when I wrote that song, it was super vulnerable, and I wrote it on my guitar, like very stripped. And so I released a bonus track of an acoustic version. So it was the same song, but they're
Nice.
both completely different. And so I
Yep,
think
yep.
like being mindful of the production is really important.
Oh, totally, and sometimes I love it when people do that because sometimes you just need to hear the song in its rawest form to connect with it even more.
Hmm.
Like I'm the same. I love it. I love it when people do that. I did that actually. I did like a reimagined version
Yeah.
of my single Fearless.
Hmm.
And just because I thought, "Do you know what? I love this song so much and I'm really proud of it and I feel it's one of the best songs I've ever written. So it deserves to be coming out twice." And
Right.
the
Yeah.
other route the other route I wanna go down is a raw, vulnerable version, and that
Yeah.
was with, like, piano and, strings, so I was
Yeah.
like, "This song deserves to be released twice."
That's so perfect. That's so true. It's like, all
So
right,
funny.
this song deserves the double release treatment.
Yeah.
Oh
But,
my
yeah,
god.
I mean, as well, when something is produced in a pop way, sometimes people don't connect with pop music, Some people it's happened to me in the past, and that when an artist has released an acoustic version or a reimagined version, I've been like, "Oh my goodness, now I appreciate the pop version even more."
Yeah,
It's crazy, isn't it? It's
for
just crazy
sure.
what production can do.
Yeah. So I have a couple more questions for you. This next one is for any other songwriters listening who may be struggling to write a song that is more vulnerable like yours is, what advice would you give them?
Oh, well, I'll probably pass on the advice that my good friend Sue McMillan gave me. She basically said to me, "Emily, go away and write your truth." So I went away and I kind of just sat at a piano and I was just like, "How am I feeling? How am I feeling today? What's going on with Emily?" And just really kind of checked in with myself and then came up with these few lines and took them back to her and then we worked on them together. And I think sometimes if you're struggling to be vulnerable, find a song like a co-writer that you trust and book a session with them and just say to them, "Look, I want to write this kind of a song and I'm feeling like this and I need to work through it in this song." And I think because songwriting sessions are sometimes generally like for therapy,
Yeah.
you ask
Uh-huh.
questions. So like if someone was to come to me saying, "I want to write a vulnerable song about this situation," situation that I'm going through right now, I'd be like, "Well, tell me all about the situation. Let's make a cup of tea and let's talk about it." And then I'll just kind of jot down a few notes as they say things as we go along and just kind of connect with them on an emotional level and then write the song. So that's what I would say probably. Also, try not to think about what everyone else is doing and just worry about how you're feeling and really try and tap into how you're feeling. And then, once you've written some of it, then worry about if it's relatable to other people. But the chances are, if you're going through it, somebody else has.
For sure. Great advice. Great advice. I love the co-writing advice because a lot of times, like if you're going through something that's really rough, you kind of need somebody else to help you put it in perspective and bring out like what makes this special to you and how it can relate to others. And so co-writing is amazing. And yeah, just authenticity is I preach authenticity left and right.
Yeah.
Just be authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Because if you write something that's true, then chances are like everybody else who has gone through that will find that truth in the song.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes two heads are better than one. If it's something if it's a subject that's really close to you, I find it really hard to look at it objectively because I'm feeling it, I'm going through it. So if I get someone else in, they're looking at it from an outside perspective. So they can kind of direct me and let me know if I'm being too preachy or being too angry or being too whatever. They can just kind of guide you from the outside perspective because 'cause you're so in it. When you're feeling something, you're in it, aren't you? So, yeah, that's kind of another reason, to get somebody else in to co-write with you, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because like when you're writing yourself, like it's all 100% you. But when you have that other person, they put some of them into the song as well, which kind of balances out your personal experience, your feelings, or whatever, with somebody else who can relate or is putting themselves in your shoes at the moment to kind of take a different approach. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Before we go, I just wanted to ask what are any final thoughts you would like to share about when it comes to leaving?
Final thoughts. Hmm. I would just really say I hope it brings you some comfort in a time of goodbye, whether that's coming home from holiday, getting off the stage and you don't want to leave the stage, or saying goodbye to someone you love. Um, yeah, it's the kind of song you can put on the plane to make you feel a little better, basically, about that goodbye. And yeah, I just really hope that everybody connects with it. And yeah, that's all you can wish for, really, isn't it? With
For
a
sure.
release.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me. I love talking to you about this. Can you share with everyone where they can find you online or listen to your music?
Yes, of course. Yep. So pretty much everywhere on social media, I'm Emily Faye Music. That's Faye. And yep, I'm on all of the music places. So Spotify, Amazon, etc., etc. And yeah, you can find me there really.
Awesome, Emily. Thank you again for joining me. This has been lovely.
Thank you so much for having
Of
me.
course, listeners, thank you for listening to this very special episode with Emily Faye. And of course, until next time, stay
Stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.